National Treasury has launched the long-awaited Spatial Economic Activity Data South Africa program. The program comes in after years of lobbying by metropolitan municipalities to have data that would assist their cities' economies. We're now joined to make sense of the program and how it will assist by Professor Turok, Distinguished Research Fellow at Human Sciences Research Council, and Eddie Rakabe, Fiscal Policy Specialist. A big thank you to both our guests for your time this afternoon. Prof, let me start with you. How should South Africans understand this intervention?
This has been the culmination of probably 10 years of work to try and make available reliable economic data for all our municipalities in South Africa. It's been a fantastic initiative, promoted really by National Treasury, but supported by SARS, by municipalities, by various government departments and other stakeholders, including foreign governments who have helped to fund this initiative. So it's making available information that will be incredibly valuable for research and policy making to help stimulate our economies at the local level.
Let's please expand on the economic data element of it. And Eddie, if you could please just explain for us what this economic data exactly, if you can unpack it, will do.
Well, thanks. Well, if you think about planning for spatial economic planning, there's quite a range of information that's required to conduct your spatial planning. And for this project specifically, the spatial economic data that the National Treasury is engaging on was really making sure that the researchers, the planners, have got access to the SARS data. You know, the SARS data is information about the income tax, the personal income taxes. So it tells you where economic activity is happening, where it's kind of a heat map. It's an economic heat map that tells you where the economy is going at a local level. So in that sense, municipalities are able to plan following the direction of the economy. So using the data information that is available from SARS, be it the income tax data, the personal income tax data, the municipality can then plan better whether they invest in certain areas spatially. So that is the most important thing. But apart from that, there is also quite a number of information that is required when municipalities do their planning, which may not necessarily be available through this particular. Of course, they will then conduct their own surveys that will tell them where the cities are growing, in which direction the cities or the municipality is going, so such that they can then invest in that direction. Thank you.
Prof, is this collection of data being looked at in conjunction with the Spatial Planning and Land Use Management Act of 2013?
I think that is one of the opportunities that is now available. What we've done is basically to get this data publicly available. So public good, unlike commercial data that you can buy from companies. And so it has multiple uses, partly about growth, understanding growth, and partly about distribution, understanding the location of economic activity, not just jobs, but also investment, productivity, wage inequalities. And so the spatial planning, they will be very keen on this data because it identifies the shifting pattern of activity across the country and within municipalities. But it also has multiple other purposes, and we need to recognize both the growth aspect of it. We need to get our economy moving from the bottom up to encourage new enterprise, new investment, tackling those local problems that are the fundamental obstacles to growth, as well as looking at the distribution, where the jobs are, where the inequalities are, and so on. So it's that two-pronged approach which I think is very exciting about this new data set.
The Minister of Finance, Enoch Godongwana, on the 19th of June, during his speech, said by addressing spatial inequalities and creating sustainable human settlements, we could achieve inclusive and sustainable growth in terms of the economy. As you rightfully mentioned, it's almost a decade that we have been looking at something like this. What's going to be different this time around?
Good question. What's different is that this is a comprehensive data set This is a reliable data set because it comes from actual records. Business tax, not just income tax of people, the taxes paid by businesses based on their turnover. So it's reliable, it's accurate, it's comprehensive, it's updated every 6 months. So it's really, not out of date like a census data and some of the other data from Stats SA. It's a unique data set that we are very lucky to have managed to get access to. And it will be an incredibly valuable resource for policymakers, researchers, and others, private sector, interested to understand more about our economy from the bottom up rather than from the top down.
And I guess, Eddie, I'm asking that because the minister in the same speech mentioned that marginal city economic spaces such as townships and communities such as youth and women continue to be marginalized from the formal economy. We must ask ourselves why almost 30 years post-apartheid we have failed to integrate and what must be done differently to achieve different results. And so I guess just from an economics perspective, from the everyday person, how does this help my life?
Well, I suppose what Prof. Turok is saying is that the data helps the researchers to, policy makers to make important decisions about where to locate the investment, how to direct investment in spaces where they are likely to generate much more return. The challenge, I suppose, going forward is now then to translate that research, that information into planning at a local level so that the marginalization that you are talking about can then be reduced. Well, partly the reason why we still have that situation that we're talking about, the marginalization of the marginal cities, such as your township, is because of the poor planning that we've had over the past 30 years. I mean, we've had numerous planning regimes. Unfortunately, they are too fragmented. You've got the Spatial, the act that we've just spoken about. You've got the Spatial Development Framework. You've got the National Spatial Development Perspective, which are almost sending different messages. But at the same time, you have at the national level where you've got some kind of discordant agenda on urbanization and rural development, which almost create a tension as to where to direct investment. And as a result, you find that municipalities find themselves at a difficulty not knowing exactly in which spaces to focus investment, and particularly in order to address the social ills that you just spoken about. Thank you.
Because South Africa is not a country that is devoid of plans or policies. And at the end of the day, many ask, is there will? But for now, that's all the time we can afford. Thank you very much to Professor Ivan Turok, Distinguished Research Fellow at Human Science Research Council, and Eddie Rakabe, Fiscal Policy Specialist.